Children, today I am going to discuss about the topic digestion in human being as well as digestion in amoeba and paramecium. That is, I am going to describe holozoic nutrition in two unicellular organisms, amoeba and paramecium, and holozoic nutrition in multicellular animal, that is human being. So keep watching my video. So you see, as I told you, in the digestion process, the lysosome fuse with the phagosome to form the food vacuole, and this food vacuole acts as the temporary stomach of the amoeba, which is termed as gastrule. Now, here the food inside the food vacuole undergo reactions with the digestive enzyme. First the food become acidic and then later alkaline, and then the complex insoluble substance, that is the food, is digested and broken into simple absorbable substance. Then come absorption. Now see, digestion and absorption, here I have drawn the single diagram. In absorption, the simple digested and soluble substance diffuse out of the food vacuole. Diffusion you know very well. What do you mean by diffusion? Studied in class 9 already. So this food, digested food, diffuses out, comes out of the food vacuole to the surrounding cytoplasm, and then it is distributed throughout the body, that is assimilation takes place, and this takes place with the help of cyclosis. Now what is cyclosis? The streaming movement of the cytoplasm, means the cytoplasm here undergoes streaming movement, and that is known as cyclosis. So this occurs, okay, the streaming movement takes place, so the food is distributed, and generally the energy is produced from the absorbed food, and then it is utilized to convert simple nutrient into complex compound that helpful for the growth and development of the body of the amoeba. And finally the egestion process. Now in this egestion process, the undigested food fuses with the surface membrane, of the amoeba. The undigested food, it gets fused with the surface membrane and discharge the content outside the body. Now this process is called egestion. Okay, so this can be done by contractile vacuole. So this is the final steps. You can refer to the NCERT book for the diagram. Their labelings are not done, but you can just do the labeling, watch the diagram, and you can label your NCERT books diagram. It's clearly mentioned. And the digestion in amoeba is a very important topic for class 10. Okay. Next come digestion in paramecium, that is nutrition in paramecium. Now you know paramecium is also a unicellular protista. But unlike amoeba, they have cilia. They do not have pseudopodia, they have cilia. You can see finger-like projections throughout the entire surface of the cell of the paramecium is a cilia. Now this cilia helps in capturing the food, right? So the cilia helps in capturing the food, and finally the cilia, you can see here I have drawn the food particles with red color. It enters the oral groove. This is the oral groove, where in very near to the oral groove there is cytosome. Okay, here the first food vacuole is formed. The food enters the food vacuole, then thereafter it gets digested by the digestive enzyme present in the food vacuole, the same process as that of amoeba, and finally get digested out. So here we see the anal pore. Through the anal pore it gets released out. So this is the nutrition in paramecium. Next come digestion in human being. So human being, you can also go through my video of class 11 digestion part. There also I have mentioned in detail about the anatomy of the alimentary canal and the various parts of the internal part of the, though it is not required for class 10, but you can go through for detailed knowledge. Now you see, nutrition in human being starts from the mouth. Now the entire nutrition, the digestion process takes place in the alimentary canal. The alimentary canal is the entire canal starting from mouth to the large intestine. Correct. Now mouth is having teeth, tongue and salivary gland. Then come pharynx, esophagus, thereafter stomach, small intestine. So you see, I told you that stomach contains gastric juice that helps in digestion of food. It contains the hydrochloric acid. Generally, it maintains the acidic pH for the function of the pepsin, the enzyme that digests protein, that is a proteolytic enzyme, and the mucus that help to protect the stomach wall from the corrosion of the hydrochloric acid. Now let's have a glance of the functions of stomach. Now stomach stores the food temporarily till it is partially digested and ready to reach the small intestine. Next function is it secretes gastric juices that help in the digestion of the food. Next it churns the food into fine pulp called chyme. So turns the food into chyme. Chyme is the semi-solid food, okay, that mixes with gastric juice. And then hydrochloric acid. It kills the bacteria present in the food. So these are the functions of stomach. Now see, in the stomach there are two sphincter. Now what is sphincter? Sphincter is a ring of circular muscle fibers. They are arranged around an opening. Okay, so circular muscle fibers arranged around the opening. These are called sphincter muscles. Now you see sphincter, there are two sphincter in our stomach. Let me draw and show you the sphincter. Now suppose if this is the stomach, so you can see this is the esophagus through which the food is entering the stomach. This is a stomach wall, gastric glands are present. This is the place where the sphincter is present called the cardiac sphincter. Here pyloric sphincter is present that regulate the passing of the food to the duodenum, and this is the body, and this portion is called the fundus, the bulge portion. So there are two sphincters in the stomach, cardiac sphincter and pyloric sphincter. This is pyloric, P-Y-L-O-R-I-C, pyloric sphincter, S-P-H-I-N-C-T-E-R. Okay, so cardiac sphincter guards the opening of the esophagus into the cardiac stomach, and pyloric sphincter guards the opening of the pyloric stomach into the duodenum. Right? So these are the functions of sphincter muscle. Next we will discuss about the function of small intestine. Now small intestine is almost 6 meter, that is 20 feet in length, and around 2.5 centimeter in diameter, that is nearly 1 inch diameter, and is differentiated into 3 parts that I told you earlier: duodenum, jejunum, ileum. Duodenum is the C-shaped first part of the small intestine, nearly 25 centimeter in length. So duodenum is 25 centimeter in length. The entire small intestine is 6 meter. Okay, so 25 centimeter in length. So here you see this duodenum, it descends down, and here you can see the duodenum receives the secretion from the common bile duct, from the bile, that is the bile juice comes to the common bile duct from the gallbladder and reaches the duodenum, and also the pancreatic duct brings down the pancreatic juices to the duodenum. Next comes jejunum. It is about 2.5 meter, this meter, 2.5 meter in length, that is nearly 8 feet length, and the last is ileum, which is about 3.5 meter in length. So this is the different parts of the small intestine. Okay, so in this intestine, small intestine, there are narrow finger-like projections for the absorption of the food, and final digestion of food takes place in the small intestine. So children, finally we will study about digestion of food in human body. I have drawn a rough sketch of the human body with a proper digestive system. Now you see what happens in every part of our digestive system. Now this is the mouth part. Now in the mouth, you see the mouth part, that is the oral cavity. The food enters the oral cavity. We take the food in our mouth. The taste bud present in our tongue tastes the food, and the tongue mixes the food with the saliva and make the food moist. Okay. Now there is salivary gland in the mouth. Now the salivary gland present in the mouth produces ptyalin or salivary amylase. This salivary amylase digests the carbohydrate rich food, mainly starch rich food. And the teeth present in our oral cavity, they cut and chew the food and grind the food into very simple units, and generally with the help of this tongue, the food is mixed up and turned into bolus. Now this bolus, you can see I have drawn here a bolus. The bolus in the mouth after chewing passes through this food pipe, which is called esophagus. Okay, now you can see here I have drawn pharynx, which is a common passage for windpipe and food pipe. Now this is the windpipe or trachea. Okay, and this is the food pipe, that is the esophagus. So this is the pharynx that I was talking about, epiglottis here. So epiglottis generally closes the glottis portion during swallowing. Now the bolus passes down to the esophagus. Now what is the role of esophagus? Now esophagus carries the food to the stomach. You know, esophagus do not have any digestive enzymes, means it does not have any exocrine gland to produce enzymes for digestion, but it only produces mucus for the smooth passage of the food down into the stomach. Next comes the stomach. Now stomach is a bag-shaped structure, sac-like structure having two sphincter muscles, cardiac sphincter and pyloric sphincter. The stomach is slightly you can see a U-shaped structure here. This is the cardiac sphincter, which is connecting the stomach to the esophagus, and it regulates the incoming of the food from the mouth to from the esophagus to the stomach. And this is the fundus, the bulged portion of the stomach. This is the pyloric sphincter, which regulates the passage of the food after churning from the stomach to the duodenum, that is the first part of the small intestine. Okay. Now you see what generally happens in the stomach. In the stomach, the food is mixed with digestive juices, generally produced from the gastric glands. So the gastric juices produced from the gastric gland releases in the stomach and get mixed with the food and make the food acidic. As you know, there is hydrochloric acid in the stomach that makes the pH of the stomach acidic. So here generally digestion of protein-rich food takes place, or protein-rich food start digesting in the stomach. Now after the food turns into acidic or semi-solid paste, it undergoes churning, and this churned food stays in the stomach for some time, and then after total churning, the food passes to the duodenum, that is the first part of the small intestine. The small intestine is divided into three parts: duodenum, jejunum, ileum. Okay, out of which duodenum is the smallest part. I told you the dimensions of each of the part earlier. Next come the jejunum and the ileum. So the duodenum mainly the mixing of the food with the pancreatic enzymes and the bile juice takes place. So liver produces the bile, which is stored in the gallbladder, passes to the duodenum and makes the pH of the duodenum. So you see in the duodenum the liver sends the bile produced by it to the gallbladder, and from the gallbladder it passes to the duodenum. Okay. So here in the duodenum, the pH of the duodenum is basic because of the bile, because bile is a basic juice, alkaline juice. Okay. Now this is the shortest portion of the small intestine, only 25 centimeter in length. It's a C-shaped structure. You can see it's a C-shaped structure within which the pancreas is located. Now pancreas is a very important gland. You know, it releases pancreatic enzymes. Okay. Now you see the food from the duodenum after becoming basic, generally all the digestive enzymes, they are drained in the duodenum for final digestion of the various type of component of food. So what happens here, you see large fat globules. Now I am just telling you about the reactions that take place in various part of the alimentary canal, okay, by various enzymes. In the mouth, what happens? Starch rich food, by the action of salivary amylase, which is also known as ptyalin, it converts into maltose. That is a disaccharide. Okay. Now this food then passes to the stomach. Now here I would like to say you something about lysozyme. Now in the mouth, not only salivary amylase or ptyalin, but also some enzyme called lysozyme is produced by the salivary gland that kills the microbes present in our food. Then the food passes to the stomach, where the protein rich food is acted upon by the enzyme pepsin. Pepsin remains in the inactive form in the gastric gland as pepsinogen, that becomes activated in the acidic pH when the food enters the stomach. And generally this protein rich food converts into proteases and peptones in the presence of pepsin. And you see in the infants, those who are suckling infants, like breastfeeding infants, in their stomach we can find one other enzyme called renin. R-E-N-N-I-N. Remember the spelling. Renin. This renin changes the milk protein casein into paracasein. Okay. So these are the functions of the stomach. Now in the stomach, you know, hydrochloric acid makes the food acidic for the action of pepsin to act upon protein to convert into protease and peptone. Now mucus present in the wall of the stomach wall, that is produced by the gastric glands, that lubricate the food and also protect the stomach wall from the corrosion of the hydrochloric acid as it has been acidic. Now finally the food goes to the small intestine, where large globules of fats, I have not described about fat till now. So large globule of fat get emulsified. Emulsification means breaking down of large globules of fat into small micelles or small droplets, okay, of food, that is of fat. Now this takes place in the basic pH in the presence of bile. So emulsification is done by the bile juice. Bile is a juice without any enzyme, remember. So liver produces bilirubin, biliverdin and bile. Now this acidic chyme, the acidic chyme produced in the stomach, the food bolus passes to the stomach and the acidic chyme comes to the duodenum in the small intestine and turns into alkaline by the bile juice released from the liver, stored in the gallbladder, eventually passes to the intestine, small intestine, that is duodenum. So the acidic chyme turns into basic chyme by the action of bile juice. Okay. Now what happened? What is the action of the pancreatic enzymes? That I am going to discuss. So as I told you that the basic chyme is made in the small intestine by the action of the bile. Now see, in the small intestine, duodenum, the pancreatic enzymes, they act. Pancreas is a heterocrine gland, or you can say it is a mixed gland, which has two portions, endocrine pancreas and exocrine pancreas. Exocrine pancreas releases enzymes. Now the enzymes released by the pancreas are trypsin, pancreatic amylase and lipase. Now pancreatic amylase, lipase and trypsin, these three enzymes are drained from the pancreas to the duodenum by pancreatic duct. The hepatopancreatic duct is present that helps the drainage of these enzymes. Now trypsin. Trypsin acts on protein, okay, and finally breaks into peptides. So protein which is digested in the stomach is partially digested. That is now converted into peptides with the help of trypsin. Now can pancreatic amylase. This enzyme converts the starch into maltose. Means whatever starch was not converted in the mouth by the salivary enzyme, that is the ptyalin, now converts into maltose. So starch is acted upon by pancreatic amylase and converts into maltose. Next come lipase. Lipase emulsifies fat, that is it breaks the fat down droplets, that is the micelles, into fatty acid and glycerol. Next come intestinal juices. Now after the pancreatic enzyme act on the various component of food, the intestinal juices released from the intestinal gland collectively known as succus entericus. Now succus, S-U-C-C-U-S, succus entericus, E-N-T-E-R-I-C-U-S. Now these three enzymes, that is intestinal juices, are collectively known as succus entericus. Peptidases, maltase, okay, lactase. There is one more enzyme, that is sucrase. Now peptidase. Peptidase converts peptides into amino acid. So here I told you about the peptides. So the protein is converted into peptides by the action of pancreatic enzyme. That peptide is converted into amino acids by the action of peptidases released by the intestinal gland as intestinal juice. Next come maltase. Maltase enzyme converts maltose into glucose. So the maltase enzyme converts the maltose. Maltose is already produced by the action of pancreatic amylase. So this maltose converts into glucose by the action of maltase. Next come lactase. Lactase actually it converts the lactose sugar of the milk sugar into glucose plus galactose. So lactase converts, okay, lactose into glucose plus galactose. Okay. Finally, the sucrase, which is also known as invertase. Sucrase, sorry, S-U-C-R-A-S-E, sucrase. This enzyme changes the sucrose into sucrose. Sucrose, you know, you eat sugar has sucrose. Sucrose converts into glucose plus fructose. So these are the conversions. Okay, so sucrase converts the sucrose into glucose plus fructose. So these are the final steps of digestion which is done by intestinal juice. Finally, the digested food get assimilated. Okay, the small intestine villi, they absorb the component of the food and send it to the bloodstream through villi, and the assimilation takes place, that is the utilization of this component, simplest component of food by body cells. Okay, and the digested food finally converts into glucose, fructose, galactose, amino acid, fatty acid and nucleosides. And nucleic acid is also converted into nucleoside. So all these components of food, they are useful for building the cells, tissues and to release the. So finally the food is digested and assimilated in the body cell. And the undigested food material, it passes to the large intestine. Large intestine is divided into, you see, I have written here large intestine is divided into colon, okay, then comes cecum. This is the cecum part, cecum, colon, this total is the colon. This is the ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon. This is the cecum, this is the rectum and anus. So colon, cecum and rectum are the parts of the large intestine. So no such digestion of food takes place in the large intestine because the food is already digested in the small intestine, absorbed and assimilated. So what is the role of large intestine? Here the excess of water present in the undigested food is reabsorbed. Some type of drugs are also reabsorbed in the large intestine. And finally, so see, there is no digestive enzyme in the large intestine, only mucus glands are there that releases mucus. that helps to lubricate the large intestine for the easy bowel movement or the passage of the undigested fecal matter, that is the undigested food that passes in the rectum and is temporarily stored. Okay, and when it is full, there is a urge, there is a neural reflex plays an important role, where this rectum releases the fecal matter from the anus through anal sphincter. So this is the general process of digestion in human body. Next, I will tell you one topic that is given in your NCERT book, that is the dental caries. Now, dental caries means tooth decay. Now you see, it is referred to a localized destruction of enamel. Now this is the upper part, that is the outermost part of the tooth called the enamel. Okay, inside the enamel there is dentine. So enamel is the hardest part in our body. Okay, so enamel get destroyed partially, and why does it happen? Because of the action of bacteria. Generally, Streptococcus mutans. You can write down the name Streptococcus mutans. It is a bacterium. Okay, so these bacteria generally grow on the food particles, especially sugar. Sugar sticking to our teeth generally produces acid. So whatever food we eat, that may stick to our teeth and can be decayed by the Streptococcus mutans. And generally this bacterial colony grow in size and form a plaque in the teeth. That is called dental plaque. P-L-A-Q-U-E, plaque. So dental plaque is a sticky yellowish layer that get adhered on the surface of the enamel. Okay, and the bacterial cell covers the teeth if you do not clean it properly. Sometimes you children have a habit of eating different type of chocolates and toffees and you do not wash your mouth. So in that cases, the bacterial cell covered the teeth and it undergo destruction. The hard tissue, that is the enamel, the inner layer, there is a dentine, and finally the pulp, okay, get infected by the bacteria, and there is a strong sensation of pain, and you have to visit the doctor because your teeth will be decayed and you will feel very pain. The bacteria is responsible for causing dental cavities even. Okay, so you can have cavity, you can see many advertisement in the TV showing cavities in children. So this proper brushing of teeth after eating can remove the plaque. Because of this plaque, the bacteria actually they multiply in number. But if you brush the teeth, the bacteria are unable to multiply and produce the acid caused okay, and form the tooth decay. So this is about dental caries. So you can go through the structure of the tooth. In the lower classes you have already studied about, class 5 I think you have studied about the structure of the tooth, the parts of the tooth, okay, crown root and crown neck root. These are the three parts, and the layers are enamel, dentine and pulp. So go through the total topic. So I hope you understand the topic of digestion. So children, hope you understood the mechanism of digestion in human being. That is the total alimentary canal, its length, the various digestive enzymes involved, the various digestive glands, and also about the digestion in paramecium and amoeba. So go through your textbook and learn it properly, and comment me if you like the video or you have any suggestions regarding the topic, and share it with your friends so that more and more students get benefited from these videos. So keep watching my video. Thank you.